Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and today let's unbox and take a look at iQOO's new performance-focused monster, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 powered iQOO 11. Now this one's launching in India on the 10th of January, and now that I have it in hand, let's quickly take a look at what iQOO actually has to offer here. Now before we proceed, a quick request: if you're on Telegram, use the link in the description to join the C4E Tech channel so that you can keep track of all my new uploads. Guys, a little disclaimer, this phone was pretty hard to source for me, so I had to actually buy it used from China, meaning my unboxing is not of a brand new phone. Now with that disclaimer out of the way, this is the box the iQOO 11 comes in. It looks pretty similar to what we've seen with other iQOO flagships in the past. We have the BMW logo given the partnership they have with them. The RAM storage variant is also mentioned to the side. Opening it up, we have the iQOO 11 itself. This is the green SKU. iQOO calls this Isle of Man Special Edition. They also offer the iQOO 11 in black, aka the track version, and white, which is the very familiar Legend Edition. Next up, we have this little card just showing off the partnership, which is followed by a SIM ejector tool, a soft case. Now this case, it fits well and adds to the grip. It's pretty much your standard TPU case. We then have a USB Type-C to Type-C cable with white accents, which is followed by a 120 watt charger. Using this charger, you can get the iQOO 11 from 0 to 100 in just 24 minutes. Now wait, didn't the iQOO 9 actually charge faster? Now if that is what you're thinking, well, I thought the same too. And you are correct. The iQOO 9, which also shipped with a 120 watt wired charger, went from 0 to 100 in just 18 minutes. So what has changed? Did they actually downgrade something? No, not really. The reason the iQOO 11 takes longer to charge despite using the same 120 watt charger is because it now sports a much higher capacity battery. While the iQOO 9 had a 4350 mAh battery on the inside, the 11 with this we get 5000 mAh. And you know what's very impressive? The fact that iQOO's been able to do this without adding to the thickness of this phone. This phone is just as thick as the iQOO 9 at 8.7 millimeters. In fact, the black SKU is even a little slimmer at 8.4, and that uses glass instead of this faux leather finish. Now, it's not just the thickness, the weight has also remained more or less the same. And it's not just the battery capacity that they've increased, even the display size has gone up. So overall, a fantastic job by iQOO's engineering team. But you know what? I am getting a little ahead of myself. We will talk about the display and everything else in a bit. Let's first wrap up with the build. So the weight, it's 208-ish grams, meaning the iQOO 11, it's not particularly a light phone, but at the same time, this weight, it's spread quite evenly, so it doesn't feel too hefty in hand either. Now, while the display itself is flat, the back has a slight curve at the edges. And this back, it's vegan leather, which means it is not smooth glass, so it's pretty grippy. It kind of feels rubberized. It's very nice to actually hold in hand and use. The frame is metal, and to the right we have the power and volume keys, the secondary mic, and what I think is the IR blaster are present to the top. We just have the antenna lines to the left, and at the bottom we've got the primary microphone and speaker alongside a USB Type-C port and a SIM tray that can take 2 nano-SIMs. No headphone jack or microSD support on this guy. The earpiece up top, that also pulls double duty as a secondary speaker, and the speaker output is it's quite good. I mean, just have a listen. Now beneath this earpiece sits a 16 megapixel selfie camera, which is paired with a f2.45 lens. It does quite well for selfies. The images, they turned out good with ample detail and natural skin tones. Video does max out at 1080p 30, which is weird given that we have a 16 megapixel sensor. 16 megapixels mean the hardware is capable of 4K, and definitely the chip on the inside, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, is capable of 4K. So I don't know why iQOO's got this limitation here, but for what it's worth, the footage seems fine. It's also supposed to have gyro-based stabilization, though I don't think it's active in the current build of the firmware. Now this camera, it allows for 2D face unlock, and that was quite quick. The other biometric option is an optical fingerprint scanner that's present under the display. And yes, this is optical, just like last time iQOO saved the ultrasonic scanner for the Pro version. You know what they've not saved for the Pro version? This display. Guys, these days, it's almost an industry standard for non-pro versions to have downgraded displays. You usually have low resolution panels with some even cutting down the refresh. Google. Sorry about that. iQOO has kind of gone against this trend. We have an actual Quad HD Plus panel on the regular iQOO 11. Now this is a 6.78 inch flat E6 AMOLED panel. And there is no refresh rate compromise either. In fact, the refresh rate on this is 144 Hz. It's extremely smooth to use, and given LTPO 4.0, it can vary said refresh between 1 and 144 Hz for higher efficiency. This also happens to be a super bright panel capable of hitting 1800 nits for HDR. Now, given the larger, higher resolution, higher refresh panel, also taking into account the stereo speakers, it should be great. It should give you a good experience when it comes to consuming content. You know what, actually not just consuming content, even with gaming, especially given the chip that's on the inside, which, like I said earlier, it's the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, Qualcomm's latest flagship chip. And this chip, it's paired with 8, 12 or 16 gigs of the fastest LPDDR5X RAM alongside 128, 256 or 512 gigs of storage. Now guys, here's where things get a little muddy. The storage used for the 256 and 512 gig SKUs, that's UFS 4.0, the latest one. Now the 128 gig version, that gets UFS 3.1. So technically 128 gig iQOO 11s should be a little slower, but with real world usage, you aren't really gonna see any difference. iQOO also includes their V2 chip that helps with a certain few things like frame interpolation. Now talking about gaming related features, iQOO continues to provide a pressure sensor so that you can map some functions onto the screen that can get activated when you apply a little more pressure. Like over here, we've got pressure on the right side mapped to reload and pressure on the left side mapped to aim. iQOO also includes dual X-axis linear motors on this phone, and the haptics are just excellent. Now, given the gaming focus, they've gone for a vapor chamber with almost a 25K mm² heat dissipation area to keep that performance going, to help sustain it over a long period of time. And it works, with a small asterisk. A 15-minute CPU throttle test saw the iQOO 11 dip down to 79% of its peak performance. Now, that isn't something I'll call bad, but at the same time, that's not something that I'm gonna call good either. It's not great, especially for a gaming phone. That said, it's early days. iQOO should be able to improve this with updates. And even now, the few games I tried running, they ran really well. I didn't face any kind of stutters or lag with these games themselves, and neither the back nor the frame ever felt hot. Now, from a software perspective, this iQOO 11 runs on Origin OS 3 built atop Android 13, though when it releases in other markets outside of China, it will be running on FunTouch OS 13. So, I am not really gonna focus a lot on Origin OS features here and just leave it at the user experience is excellent. The phone feels super responsive. Okay, let's now talk about the cameras. We get a triple camera array. The primary is a 50 megapixel Samsung GN5. This is paired with an optically stabilized f1.9 lens. By default, images turned out vivid, a little high on saturation, but they do look great. They have plenty of detail and the dynamic range is excellent. And even under low light, this camera continued to impress. Here's where that V2 chip is supposed to come into play. It's supposed to help enhance the low light images. Now, I don't know if it's the V2 chip or the hardware or iQOO's processing or a combination of all three. Low light images, they did look good. The noise levels were kept low, the details, they've been preserved. Anyways, moving on, we then have a 13 megapixel sensor that's paired with the f2.5 telephoto lens. This one allows for 2x zoom. Now 2x, it's not a lot, but for a gaming focused, competitively priced flagship, it's not really bad. The images, they're quite detailed. The colors are slightly off compared to the primary though. The third sensor is an 8 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide, and this one I am not too high on. The detail levels are okay, I suppose. It does get the job done, fits more into the image, which is the purpose of the sensor to begin with. The images, to me, they're just a little underexposed in comparison to the primary. The colors are also a tad off. Again, it isn't something that they can't fix with an update, but for now, I am just going to be cautiously optimistic about it. Now, as for video, the iQOO 11 does support up to 8K resolution via the primary camera, and the footage, pretty detailed, pretty stable. I do miss the gimbal stabilization from the iQOO 9 though. Now yes, back to back, there are a few things I've told you guys that I'm a little meh about. And if hearing any of this has you a little down, well, here's something to cheer you up. The pricing, it's awesome. The iQOO 11 starts at 3799 RMB, which converts to about $550 US or 45,000 Indian rupees. For that price, I really like everything iQOO has to offer here. I mean, they seem to have put together one hell of a phone. It's got its own quirks. Yes, it's not perfect, no phone is, but it also offers so much for what they're asking. Now, of course, this is just the Chinese pricing. The Indian price when the phone goes on sale is gonna be different, and as of now, I don't know what it's gonna be. But if I were to hazard a guess, I'd say it should start at 49,999. What do you guys think? Do you think that seems to be a fair price, or do you think iQOO would price it higher than 49,999? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. And with that, we are at the end of this quick little unboxing video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks for your time, thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash, you've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.